This is A-Game, fast-acting, long-lasting, with no side effects.
Hey all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly value, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. Hey there, my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel. I am, of course, your host, femininity coach, and author of The Crimson Cure, and this is my perspective. So I've got an article to read to you guys, and then once I read that article, I'm going to get back here with my perspective. So let me go ahead and share the screen with you. Hopefully you all can see this. Okay. So it says, Texas is already creating abortion refugees. This was on September the 3rd. Just pause and breathe. We're going to help, but I need you to take a breath and calm down for a moment. Kathleen Pittman, director of the Hope Medical Clinic for Women in Shreveport, Louisiana, repeated this mantra over and over to the teary women on the other end of the phone. The calls are coming from all over Texas, where abortion is currently banned at about 6 weeks before many women even know they're pregnant. They wanted to know if they could get an abortion in Louisiana instead. The phone has been ringing off the wall, patients attempting to get in, Pittman said, but appointments were scarce. When I spoke with her on Thursday, Hope Medical Clinic was the only functioning abortion clinic in the state of Louisiana. The other two remaining clinics were closed due to power outages caused by Hurricane Ida. Right now, we're booked out 3, possibly 4 weeks just to get in for the first visit, Pittman said, noting that a state-mandated waiting period requires patients to come to the clinic twice. We're going to see women who are terminating later in pregnancy than desired because they simply can't get in quickly enough, she said. Others, she feared, wouldn't be able to get an abortion at all. Of course, it's going to be the women who have no money, she added. It's always the women without the means that suffer the most. In the wake of SB 8, which went into effect on Wednesday, many clinics in Texas are still providing abortions for patients up to 6 weeks pregnant or before embryonic cardiac activity can be detected. Everyone else, estimated to be about 85% of all abortion patients, is now being referred out of state. As a result, clinics in Oklahoma, Louisiana, New Mexico, Colorado, and Kansas are being inundated with a surge of pregnant people who are racing against the clock for care. Yet in many of these states, years of constant anti-abortion attacks have eroded the existing reproductive health infrastructure, leaving a fragile system that is ill-equipped to absorb the additional demand. The second largest state in the country goes dark on the service, and everyone else surrounding is trying to support and provide care, said Emily Wells, interim president and CEO of Planned Parenthood Great Plains, which covers Arkansas, Kansas, and Oklahoma. Clinics in all 3 states are seeing an increase in Texas patients, she said, especially Oklahoma. At the same time, abortion access is under attack there. 5 new abortion restrictions are set to go into effect on November the 1st. It feels a little bit like it's a whack-a-mole right now, trying to beat back what are medically unnecessary requirements to assure ongoing access. While other states have passed similar 6-week abortion bans, the Texas law is the only one that has been allowed to go into effect. That's because of the unique way it was drafted. The state does not enforce the law. Instead, SB 8 deputizes regular people to file civil lawsuits against doctors or anyone else who knowingly aids or abets an abortion. The law appears to have been intentionally designed this way to thwart judicial action. At Trust Women's Clinic in Oklahoma City, which is one of the closest abortion clinics for people in North Texas, abortion appointments are already being booked 3 weeks into September, just like at Hope Medical Clinic in Louisiana. All of our doctors fly in from other states, explains Zach Gingrich Gaylord, communications director for Trust Women. We're currently asking them to consider working additional days. But of course, our doctors also practice medicine in their home states as well. Trust Women has another clinic in Wichita, Kansas, with slightly more availability. But to get there, Texas patients must travel even further. We've already started seeing some of those Texas patients today, and we've got some scheduled tomorrow. It's been a really emotional time. A lot of these folks are scared, they're confused, they're sad. Christina Toki, medical director at Planned Parenthood of the Rocky Mountains, says she was seeing the same uptick in Colorado and New Mexico. I'm very nervous for patients who need services immediately because this was an immediate hard stop to abortion services in Texas without a clear path for those patients as to where they could go. The distance to the nearest clinic is only one of the problems that Texas patients now face, said Alan Braid, the owner and medical director of Alamo Women's Reproductive Services. Many patients are already mothers and cannot leave their jobs or their children for the length of time needed to access care in another state. Some are undocumented and cannot travel with ease. Sounds very easy. Oh, well, you can get it. Can't get it in Texas. Just go to Oklahoma or New Mexico. But the people that we see, that hourly wage patient, the single mom, the people that don't have the means to travel, it's impossible for them, he said. That's like saying, well, just hop a plane and, go to France. It's beautiful there. You can get an abortion, then take a walk. Bray, who had been providing abortion care in Texas since he began his OB-GYN internship in 1972, said this was the worst climate he had ever seen for reproductive rights in Texas since before Roe v. Wade. The new law, with its vigilante enforcement scheme, is spreading fear and distrust. You can feel it in the room. It hangs heavy. As a provider, he said he's usually optimistic that he can support his patients and meet their needs. Now, when I walk in the room, I have huge doubts about whether I'm going to be able to help, and I'm not used to that. He expressed deep concern about what patients will do to obtain abortions if they can't get one inside Texas when they need it. He still has a powerful memory of 3 teenagers dying from septic shock and organ failure after obtaining back alley abortions back when he was an intern in 72. That's where we're headed, he said. I promise you that people are going to cross the border to Mexico. They're going to self-induce. Okay. So after reading that article, I got a few questions, because it's a bunch of Black women too that's involved in this. It's not just all these other women. It's a bunch of Black women. So basically, you're booked out in Louisiana at the only clinic with power at the time of that writing of that article. That's your concern. That's my whole thing right there. That was your priority. There was just a Hurricane Ida that knocked out all of that power, did all of that damage in Louisiana. And what you could only think about was getting to the only abortion clinic left that had power that could kill that baby for you. You had them talking about teary-eyed women and they scared and they don't know what to do. You could have had a condom on. It's some forms of birth control that are free. There are some forms of birth control that come at low cost when you go into like free clinics or low cost clinics that are designed to, to service people who have poverty issues or money issues. So don't tell me that there's no such thing as birth control for women who don't have a whole lot of means, or you can close your legs. We never talk about that. Women never talk about when this conversation comes up about abortions and babies and what you can do and what's the law. Nobody ever says close your legs for a while. If you can't afford a baby and you don't know nothing about birth control, you probably don't even need to be having no sex, because you don't know how to prevent it with all of these forms of birth control, from the free condom you can pick up to the most expensive kind that you need your health care for. There are plenty of different varieties of birth control that any number of women can use in this country to even prevent a pregnancy before you get to ask yourself the question whether or not you're willing to commit an abortion or not. Also, it's problematic in that article that abortion was being conflated with healthcare, and it was being referred to as healthcare as if pregnancy was an illness that you needed to go see about. I find that to be very problematic. And the clinics that were listed in there, most of them were Planned Parenthoods, which we know openly is a eugenics program. So we got women lined up at these abortion clinics and calling in talking about it's booked 3 to 4 weeks out. So how old is this baby that you about to have ripped out? You calling now, you probably a good 6 to 8 weeks right now. And then 4 more weeks, that's like 12 weeks. So in some cases, maybe 14, maybe 16 too, depending on how far along you were when you were trying to get this abortion in the first place. There are only 40 weeks in a gestation period for human beings. You realize that, don't you? There are only 40 weeks. There are only 3 trimesters. It don't take that long for the baby to become a baby in that womb. It's no longer this funny looking thing that you don't associate as a human being, it starts to look like a human being rather quickly. If we know anything about pregnancy and birth, I just find it to be problematic on many, many, many levels. I've never seen this amount of women or be so willing to kill their kids. This is how Black women get rid of legacy. This is how they destroy legacy, because instead of being concerned about what happened in Louisiana, how to get your stuff back together, how you going to get power again, you worried about how you going to get rid of this baby in your womb. Maybe you should have been more careful about having it in your womb. Then they got to talking about hardships with travel for poor mothers. You can't leave your kids. You can't leave your job to come and get an abortion. Why do you need an abortion then, ma'am? If you already a single mother struggling like that, why wouldn't you have used some form of contraception? Any form. Pick one that you want. I don't care which one. Why wouldn't you use contraceptives? You still having sex, broken all. You broke bums is still running around here letting dudes hit it raw. I'll never understand it. I will never understand that. The mindset that allow you as a broke bum single mother to still be running around here letting dudes raw dog you when you already in a situation where you struggling, living paycheck to paycheck, or worse than that. You let a dude raw dog. Now you confused and sad, quote unquote, about now you scrambling on how you can get an abortion. And then y'all talking about y'all don't need no man. Y'all need somebody. A dog can lead you better than you lead yourself at this point, because most of y'all make some of the craziest decisions I have ever heard of in my life. This is actually ridiculous. Reading this article was sad to me. It was a ridiculous article. Then they got to talking about poor women. It's always the poor women suffer the most. So pregnancy is a suffering. That's what was being said in that article. That whole article was characterizing it as a healthcare crisis. Getting your baby ripped out of your womb is not a healthcare crisis. Let me make that very clear. That's not healthcare. That's not seeing to your illnesses and making sure you're healthy. That's retroactive birth control. I'm out here riding dirty and I don't got no sense. I don't got no self-control. Birth control been around since forever, and I can't manage for whatever reason to get my hands on none of them. So what I would rather do, instead of using a condom every single time or making sure to track my ovulation, if you know you fertile myrtle, then maybe you should track when you ovulate so you can avoid having sex at the time where you know, but this week I cannot do this because I know I'm ovulating. I know I don't want no more kids. I don't like birth control and all this kind of stuff. At minimum, abstain during your most fertile period. You heifers don't even know how to calculate that, let alone in tune with your body enough to know when you ovulated. A lot of y'all don't even know what's the signs of ovulation in the first place. So you can't even watch this. And it was so disturbing on so many levels. Why are so many women willing to go kill these babies? And why is that such an extreme concern? Why is that an extreme priority? I don't understand the priority of killing off the legacy, the urgency with which you view killing off Black legacy. I got a good mind to say this is part of that witchcraft that y'all like to do. This is part of that blood magic. When it fails and you don't need the baby to control the man anymore, you go rip it out. Or you might be sacrificing it at the altar of abortions in America, at the Planned Parenthood altar. Are y'all aborting, sacrificing y'all kids at the Planned Parenthood altar as blood sacrifices? And plenty of people listen to me say that and think I'm exaggerating or being too facetious about it. But if you the type that'll put your period blood in your man food or pee in it or take his hair and put it somewhere and all that, take his clothes and bury it somewhere and all that foolishness, why wouldn't you sacrifice your kids? You the one committing the genocide with them. You killing the most of them. Why wouldn't it be a sacrifice? Well, why wouldn't I connect that dot for you? This is the theft of children that I was talking about. This is the genocide of children that I was referring to. So sound off in the comment section. Do you agree that this is how Black women get rid of and destroy Black legacy? Once again, sound off in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe to the channel if you have not. Once again, I'm your host, The Crimson Cure, and this was my perspective. Bye-bye, Crimsonites. Hey guys, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. And if you've got more to say on the topic, leave a comment down below. Also, don't forget to support our sponsor who so graciously supports this channel by clicking the description box and the link for A-Game at agameherbal.com. You can go ahead and get a 10% discount off of your next purchase using the code Kendra10. This has been yet another Crimson Cure production, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.